comes to the climate crisis, it's so hard because it feels like there are so many challenges in front of us. I mean, there's already been such severe loss of life, people displacement and insecurities because of the climate crisis all over the world. In other places we know we're running out of time to find these solutions and mitigate and adapt to climate change. So many people feel like people who are in positions of power, who are able to drive change, just aren't doing it or aren't doing it quickly enough. Eco-anxiety, I think, is a real issue amongst lots of people, especially young people. And sometimes it can just feel a little bit hopeless, like, you know, maybe people feel as an individual, what can I possibly do? What difference can I make? But actually working at the museum and having the opportunity to collaborate with some amazing people from across the world, amazing young change makers, brings me a lot of hope and motivation for the future, because seeing how these change makers know how to communicate, to coordinate, to mobilize and really listen to and learn from each other makes me feel like there's still time. There's still time to try and avert the worst possible path for our futures, and I think we can really get there if we're willing to work together. For our museum, I mean, we're an old museum, we're a big national museum. We opened in 1881, so that's over 140 years ago. And generally we've traditionally been seen as quite a historic institution, almost more about history than about contemporary science. But actually we have 300 scientists who work at the museum. They are looking after the collections, they're conducting their own research, and science is really fundamental to who we are and what we do. We know that if we want to tackle the planetary emergency, that science and scientific data is absolutely fundamental. But at the museum, we know that that's not enough. It's not enough just to have this data and science. We need to meaningfully engage with the right people. Well, with everyone really, but with decision makers, with the public, so that everyone feels that they can make informed decisions and want to stand up and take collective action. Over the past couple of years, you know, our strategy, front and centre, the first words in there are we face a planetary emergency. So we recognise this is the biggest challenge that we face as a species. And we are really broadening who we collaborate with, who we platform and who we work with. And it's been really exciting for us because we've had an opportunity to work with organisations and individuals from across the world, young change makers, those in business, artists, photographers, and that diversity of perspectives and passion and solutions, I think, could really pave the way for museums to start thinking about working differently, how they could engage with their audiences differently, and show them the solutions that we have in front of us. It's really hard. Recently I've heard a lot of young people say that they're just so tired of so many COPs having passed with not the right kind of action taken. And I think it's so hard to lose. It's so hard to maintain, rather, motivation and hope that appropriate action will be taken. I just feel like the most important thing at these COPs is that the right people are at those tables and are being represented and listened to, and those who know that what the best solutions are going to be for our collective sustainable futures are actually listened to, and those who can suitably advise on the most sensible steps that need to be taken are listened to and those steps are implemented. I feel I've really learned through my work at the Natural History Museum in recent years is how important that kind of spirit of community and connection and collective listening and learning and problem solving really is. I think when we have these issues facing us, it can feel so daunting and it can feel really hard as one individual. But so many young change makers and activists of many generations, in fact, have said that one thing that has brought them strength and motivation and hope is just connecting with others and feeling like you're part of a collective, that you're not alone. And there's so much that can be learned between us all, right? We're a smart species. We certainly should be. We got ourselves into this mess, but we should certainly be able to find our way out of it. And I think that if we come together and we unite and we listen to and learn from each other, we can certainly do that.